Hello, Hovians! Welcome to the channel and welcome to What We Hear in the Shadows. What We Hear in the Shadows. La 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 la. Hey! See, I improvise these bits. I don't script anything. Now, before we get on to the talking about the whole thing, the whole podcast, I've got some YouTube channel housekeeping. So the podcast listeners, don't skip it. No, there's interesting content to hear, but it's not 100% important. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube, you will see the YouTube channel has had a brand new episode of the TV Critic podcast. Now, I released that. I don't know how to explain. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see what I'm explaining, but I'll audio explain. So I filmed the episode on my normal YouTube camera because, as you can hear, my audio's not that great because I've updated my computer system to Montreal, the new Mac system. But what's happened is I still freeze like a robot. So the microphone is still a prop. We're still trying to figure that out and sort that out and try to sort to Apple support and fix it. But I still sound like a robot and I don't want to stutter or yeah, like I just did just then. Because it's a nightmare to edit. And so what I've done is I filmed it on my camera and it was a short episode of the podcast because we were talking about Disney Plus Day, the 12th of November, 2021, which is today. And I talked about other stuff and a bit about it and how it's only an anniversary of American's release, but I didn't talk about Home Sweet Home Alone. Now, I don't know if Xander's going to talk about that on the Filming podcast, so I won't go too much into it, but Home Sweet Home Alone is amazing. It's brilliant. Now, there's elements in it, and I'll say this really briefly, people think it's a reboot, but it's not. It's a continuation in the franchise. So we have references to the original, like an original cast member, or the film where there's like, you dirty animal, and with the gun thing, they update that to a futuristic thing, make a reference to reboots. But overall, it was a fantastic film. So I'll make another episode of the TV Critic talked about that, and that's the housekeeping there. Taskmaster reviews coming Saturday, along with new Taskmaster World content. But let's get in to find out what Xander's thoughts were on Wellington Paranormal. I've seen this 3 times because accidentally if life got in the way, like by accident.
Xander slept in last week, so yeah. This is meant to come out a week ago, but Xander's the worst co-host.
So
completely forgot.
But it did get marketed on the Filming podcast, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I might re-upload the clip where he mentions it, but with bleeps and make it more family friendly, because there's a few exploitives from his co-host, but it is funny. So I might re-upload it with a few edits. And
I genuinely thought that I told David that I'd done this. I thought when you first told him that we were doing this, I thought I'd told him because I tell him everything. And then I mentioned it on the podcast. He's like, what? What the hell are you talking about? So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, final bit of housekeeping, the intro. Podcast intro. It is normally the piano version of What We Do in the Shadows. It's played really slowly and not played the best, but it is a way of getting around copyright. But this week we've got the Wellington Paranormal theme tune because why not? Now, the way this podcast will work is I'm going to ask you 3 good things and 3 yes you the co-host 3 good things and 3 bad things about the first episode of Wellington Paranormal from a first-time perspective. Can't even say the word. Won't even bother. You've never seen it before. And
I have not.
tell me how 3 good things and then 3 bad things about the episode.
Okay, so 3 good things. I think I love the fact that it feels just like an episode of Police Interceptors. Even the way they talk to the camera is like, yeah, we're just dealing with this right now. And the way, have you ever watched Police Interceptors?
Yes, I have.
It's honestly one of my favorite shows because it's so terrible. I just love it. It's like total like god awful TV, but it's just fun and it's just it's always on during the day.
Yeah.
So
5.
And as a student, you're always doing nothing. So I watched loads of it, and you can see exactly where they've sort of brought stuff over from shows like that and Cops from America and stuff like that. And they probably have it the same in New Zealand as well. All you're missing is like the bio where it says what their favorite chocolate bar is and their least favorite Spice Girl is, and it would be the exact same show. So I really love that. I love the main characters have a great chemistry. That's always important when you're setting up a sitcom. You've got to have great chemistry between the leads, and these guys do. And I love the fact that O'Leary gets stuck on a fence at a point, and it's just like referred to as like a standard thing that happens regularly. Like, yeah. That was it was solid, a really solid pilot. I think the things that bring it down are the fact that it's a pilot and you've kind of got to set up a lot of things. I think the ending felt a bit rushed.
Ooh.
Because they just do an exorcism, which is like they say the one thing 3 times and then the demon's gone. But like it's not really how an exorcism works. Having seen the movie The Exorcist and having that be one of my favorite movies.
The demon that actually gone. I mentioned the demon's still there.
Yeah, I know he's still there at the end. Yeah, but yeah, so the ending feels a little rushed to me as well. And what else didn't I like? You know what? I'm just gonna give you 2 not likes because as a pilot, it's very solid.
Yeah, go on then.
The fact that it's a pilot, it's got heavy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if you like Police Interceptors, I personally I don't think it is like Police Interceptors because I think there's another one called Scott Squad. It is on BBC iPlayer. I highly recommend it, and that's more like Police Interceptors than anything else. They're about the Scottish police force, and it's like how like you've got the traffic wardens, you've got the people that are out on the grass. So I think Scott Squad's got more of the police, but I see what you mean. And what I like about it's just because when I saw it from a point of view of never seen the film. So I had the smallest knowledge that it was linked to the film, and it's only briefly in my brain that it must have been somewhere attached. But I overall really liked it. It felt like it came from the brains of Jermaine Clements, because Taika Waititi didn't have a lot to do with it. Yeah. It was mainly Jermaine. So when you watch all the behind the scenes stuff and watch interviews, it's always Jermaine talking about it, and he talks about it like it's a documentary, not like it's a sitcom, and it's really good. But what doesn't really work is the fact how at the very end they've exorcised the demon, but the demon's still knocking about.
Yeah, it's so like that. That's my problem. The ending, obviously, you've got the episode's just 20 minutes long.
Yeah,
and you got so much to do in a pilot. And I'm like, I've not seen the rest of the season, so I don't know whether like this demon comes back at any point. But like, so if he does, then that's a great ending because then you've set up a main villain for the series that you can sort of have a recurring throughout, and he can have his own antics while these guys are trying to do other detective work. But if not, if that's just a one-off villain, then like it's very rushed at the end.
Well, we'll find out when we review episode 2. But I I think one of the best bits is how like they're trying to spell Bazelwan. O'Leary just pulled out the panel. How do you spell that? Is that a B? That B? But what was it? Bazelwan. But is that a B? How do you? And it's just really funny. It's like how do you spell? But it's the best bit. I think is the bit in the beginning when they're walking through and goes, "Are you all right?" And then she just starts spewing forever, and they just don't see anything wrong with it. It's like, oh, she's had too much.
That's what Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi do so well. It's that awkward small talk. That awkward small talk is so funny in literally everything they write. There's always characters having like awkward small talk, like, oh, hello, how's it going? And it's just so funny the way they write it because it's just so awkward.
Yeah.
And it feels natural while feeling unnatural because, like, you know, we're dealing with like ghosts and paranormal stuff, and they're just talking like, yeah, everything's fine, yeah.
And it's just bonkers because it's like you don't expect when she's going to be sick, but I just think I don't know how they didn't notice the sink was a little bit more liquidy. It was a little bit like limey green, wasn't a sort of normal sick color, which
you know what, one thing I was like, so have you ever watched The In-Betweeners?
No.
So in The In-Betweeners, there's lots of scenes where they are sick, they throw up. And I was watching the behind the scenes of the show, and what they do you know what they do when someone's throwing up on screen?
Is it not fake sick?
Yeah, so they they have a pipe down the side of their face that's facing away from the camera, and then they'll face up, so then the camera will be here, the pipe is there, they'll open their mouth and they'll shoot this liquid out of the pipe, so it looks like it's coming out of their mouth. Yeah. That's what they do. Yeah. And I love seeing it in other like shows and movies now. Anytime someone's sick, I'm like, oh, there's a pipe. And you can just absolutely 100% tell that this poor girl is sitting in the street and she's like, for ages, I better jaw her afterwards. And they're just spraying all this stuff out of this pipe. I love it.
But my problem is how are they going to clear it up afterwards? I don't know what it's made out of, this liquid, but the production team have to clear it up afterwards because it's not safe on the actual, because Wellington is an actual place in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's where the film was filmed.
Yeah.
And there were a few deleted scenes out of the film that would have been quite funny, like the people rowing a boat, or the vampires were rowing a boat in the deleted scenes, and they're on the little river, like. But they deleted that scene because I don't think they wanted to watch them all rowing a boat.
Yeah, probably not.
For a few minutes. But what did you think of the other supporting characters, like the boat that originally tells them about the paranormal unit?
Oh, the sergeant.
Yeah.
Sergeant Macker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite good. He's a good addition, and it's good to have like they said they're like Mulder and Scully, but they've got to have like a captain.
Yeah.
And so it's good that they kind of needed that sort of. He's like in this episode, he's kind of just Basil exposition, explaining what this sort of center is. And I kind of love that he's just a loner. And like he said, like, you know, no one else has been in here. You're the first people to come in here. It's like, oh wow. It's like, yeah, no, I've invited people, they just don't want to come in. Like, that's great. That's really great.
It's got a really poor pin number. He went, you're gonna have to change that.
Yeah, 5. Oh yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, I think he's a great addition, and I can see him becoming better as the season goes on.
Yeah.
I actually loved the husband and wife character that they're in the house, because they like the husband's doing weird stuff and the wife's just like calling him out on stuff. It's like, oh, you're not going to be able to sleep now because of that neck.
I'm not rubbing it tonight. I'm not giving you a massage tonight.
Yeah.
My neck is Basil. No, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. He said, she sat there and she's like, you're 40 years old, mate. What are you doing? Like,
yeah, but what's even weirder is how like that finishes the Basilwan disappear. But it's like how they're driving and they look out the window and she's like running really fast. Like, it's like, all right, that's clearly normal. That's clearly normal. It's like, what do you expect? Oh yeah, it's just an average Tuesday. Some woman looking possessed running by the side of a police car.
I was honestly waiting in the park when he's been like attacked by the dog, the little dog. I was genuinely waiting for a moment for him to just punt the dog, just like kick him right out of the park. I was waiting for it, and I was like, "Come on, you've got it. You picked a really small dog for a reason. You're gonna punt him." But he didn't. He didn't.
But from a non-comedy, from a standpoint of learning, it's interesting to see the uniform and the way the New Zealand police are, because what they've done is they've made the uniform and the ex props like true to what New Zealand police force are actually like, so that it could look believable to a New Zealand audience.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because it's Jermaine Clemens, and he'd probably in for a hissy fit if it all went downhill. But I'm putting this out there because I don't know who's listening to this, but if the actors that play O'Leary and the other one that I can't remember his name, Minogue, 4 times you forget your name. Sorry. If you're listening, I would love you to come on the podcast so we can interview you about the series. Hopefully, if you're watching or if you're reading this email where I've sent a link to this episode, I'd love you to come on. It'll be an interesting thing.
Where we've forgotten your names multiple times.
Yeah.
We'll remember them on the day. We promise.
Yeah. Don't worry. But I quite like the episode, and it's a good way of spinning off. But I feel like it seems. Well, I don't know whether I can't remember when it first aired because it only came out last year in the UK. But I think the program aired years after the film. I think the film is
so in New Zealand this aired in July of 2018, and the movie came out in 2014.
So it was a few years later.
Yeah.
And I am hoping that they might cross over with the TV show as well at some point. I've got a feeling that could be possible.
It could be. I'm just gonna Google now what the because I think they're made by 2 different companies, like production companies.
Oh, right. Well, if you've seen series 3,
I have not yet.
Well, it's not a well. I haven't had it confirmed to me yet, but my eyes must be lying to me or something. But I feel like there is a reference to the film in the show.
In Wellington Paranormal?
No, in What Do We Do in the Shadows series.
Oh yeah, there's references to the film all the time in the.
I mean, there's like not just like references word wise, but references as in people.
Yeah. I mean, Taika Waititi's turned up in the show before. All 3 of the main ones have, yeah. You know, when in the first season when they go on that murder trial.
Oh.
All 3 of them are in that council.
Oh, I was getting so excited when I saw them in series 3. I was getting so excited thinking it's the first time they've ever appeared. Well, this is why we're doing this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Wellington Paranormal, as the title suggests, is about paranormal activities. So there's no spoilers coming, but there's wink, nudge, nudge. There is no vampire references, wink, nudge, nudge in it. But I think Basilwan was a very, very good villain. What do you think?
He just kind of said a lot of horrible things. Solid demon, very. If you've ever seen The Exorcist, it was very exorcisty. Like he says, like your mother sucks things in hell, and so that is literally a line ripped from The Exorcist. So yeah, it felt very classic demon.
Mm.
And so yeah, so solid for like your first episode, very solid.
But I really like the bit where he's on the phone and they're looking out to do an exorcist, and he's like, "I'm really sorry, it's buffering. I'm using my mobile data."
I did, yeah. That was funny, and that felt realistic. That felt, and just
you get your cross and you say your Bible. Have you got the Bible? Yes, I've got it. Right, and they're all huddled around while
I was gonna say, like they were stood there talking about this. I was like, is he still getting choked out? Like, is that still what's happening over there? Going back to what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. So the production companies are very different. So what we do in the Shadows, the TV show, is made by Fox and FX. So that's on like Disney Plus and stuff like that. Whereas Wellington Paranormal is distributed by HBO and like Warner Brothers.
Wow.
So that goes on Sky.
Oh yeah.
Over here, and what we do in the Shadows goes on BBC over here.
Well, so I think that might not be the case for much one, because I think Disney Plus won all the rights to all FX shows.
Well, yeah. So I know what we do in the Shadows is now on Disney Plus.
Yeah, well, the first two series are not series 3.
Oh yeah, not.
That's still airing on the BBC. But what's different is that if you watch it in New Zealand, you've got adverts to put up with as well. So we've got it luckier, because if you watch it on demand, there's not really any adverts.
No.
Because that's how I watched it originally. I watched it. I started watching it at like 6, and then ended watching it about 3.
I genuinely cannot watch TV now with adverts. It winds me up. It really winds me. I'll be like, oh right, okay, I've got 5 minutes now of just adverts.
If it's a drama, yes, but if it's a show like a panel show, it's sort of
I guess. Yeah.
They add it in, so they had like, so for instance, 8 out of 10 Capsules Countdown had like little quips as a joke to lead you into the advert, or gets you thinking about what could that comedy conundrum be.
See, I've been binge watching The Simpsons on Disney.
Yeah,
and that's honestly, it's so good. You should, if you've never done it before, you should 100% do it. But
on series 2 of The Simpsons.
I'm on season 7 now.
Wow. Have you seen the new? Have you seen the new short? Yeah.
I haven't. No, I haven't.
The Plus Anniversary short is where the Simpsons meet every single Disney character ever.
Oh wow!
So everyone that's on Disney Plus is in that, and it's about how it's funny, because it's about how one of the villains is at the pub in the Moe's Tavern, and she's there looking at a list to see who's on the list and letting the people that are on the list in. And obviously they make the joke to the fact that 20th Century Fox is original where the Simpsons came from.
Yeah,
they make that joke the entire way through. Is just taking the mickey of the Simpsons not really being Disney.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I'll give it a watch.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes.
I remember when Disney first bought Fox, and sorry, this is big sidetrack, but they released Onward, the Pixar film.
Massive.
And before it, they normally play a Pixar short.
Yeah.
And some of those Pixar shorts are iconic. They are so good. And before it, instead of that, they showed a Simpsons short about Maggie on a day out. And I was like, imagine being an animator at Pixar and being like working your way up and finally getting to the point where you're ready to make a short film. And then Disney buys Fox and they just put the most like overhyped and overused animation before it, instead of your like beautiful little personal story. You'd be fuming.
You would.
And I felt cheated. Like half the fun of going watching a Pixar film is going about 10 minutes early and watching like just a short film, because they're always so good.
Yeah.
And like, do you remember before The Incredibles 2, they had that one called Bow?
Oh yeah.
That one was so bizarre and so weird, and it messed with me so much. But like that's what it's about. You go and watch just a weird little short film before your main movie. And now instead I'm watching Maggie Simpson, who I've been watching for the past 30 years.
Yeah, but now they're doing a new one called, they did another one called they did a Mickey take a Good, the Bad, the Ugly with the Marvel characters, but the Simpsons playing.
Yes, I saw. I didn't watch it, but I saw it. Like
that was all right. But going back to where we had left from, because we did sidetrack on a very good place. Sidetracked on talking about thoughts, but when you look at everything that's paranormal related, right? Would you say that Wellington Paranormal stands out from the likes of Ghostbusters? In the genre of paranormal related things.
Paranormal comedy.
Yeah. Well, and is there any other comedy shows about paranormal activity? Not that I know of.
Maybe not. Ghostbusters the movie is like a classic, and I love it with all of my heart.
Brilliant.
This is very different. It's very different from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that it's paranormal and it's comedy. That the genre is the same, but they are so different in execution and tone as well. Like Ghostbusters is straight up, here's a joke, this is funny, whereas this is like the comedy's a little more subtle. If you're not listening and you're not paying attention, then you won't hear why it's funny. Which is one thing I love about Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi's comedy, is that if you're not watching, like the first time I watched What We Do in the Shadows, I watched it with my mum.
Yeah.
And she wasn't paying attention. She was on a phone playing a game and was like, I don't like this. It's not funny. I was like, Mum, I'm rolling laughing. This is absolutely hilarious. And she just didn't get it because she wasn't paying attention. So with these kind of film shows and TV shows and movies, you gotta pay attention to hear the comedy and hear why it's funny.
Yeah.
So it's that it's hard to sort of compare them because as well, movie versus TV show. But I think, like I said, I think this is a really, really solid pilot, and I'm actually excited. I wasn't when it first started. I was a little bit nervous. I was like, okay, I'm not sure. Like, is this going to be 100% my cup of tea? Is this going to be actually good? But by the end, I'm like, you know what? I'm here. I'm ready for the second episode, and I'm actually annoyed that we're not recording like loads of these at once. That we're just doing one at a time, because I've got to wait like another week to watch another episode. I feel like I'm back in the 90s waiting a week for an episode. Oh no!
Well, it's what's really funny about this is because I watched all the episodes in one day. I've seen it all before, so it's a privilege to rewatch it all, and it's really funny that because you've never seen this, and obviously it becomes really frustrating when you have to wait to watch another. But it's like it makes the episode a lot better. Now, what I had something I was gonna mention. I remember now. When you said earlier about you have to watch these things and pay attention, that made me laugh a little bit. There's a New Zealand panel show called Are You Paying Attention? And it's funny because when you think about it, when every time I tell someone about it, they always then ask me, oh, I thought you were asking me if I was paying attention. And no, I'm on about the program. But it's that type of thing, and it's that type of program where O'Leary and Minogue would appear on as guest quizmasters. But I did some research before we did this because I was looking. I stumbled across more content than theirs, and they are not just characters in this TV show anymore. They're now in other things. There's a news report where they run about. I'll try and do a sort of voice, comedy voice.
Okay, I'm all here for this.
They're all like, well, what's the weather like in Wellington? It's windy. It's windy. And she's like, it's windy. And then she cuts to a previous scene she had cut where and we're watching the Harry and Meghan. They walk in. Oh, it's Harry and Meghan. The royals are here. She turns around and says, not only do we have the royals, we have some other royals, O'Leary and Minogue, and then they're just walking down the street in Wellington, and she's like, and they're all like, well, what's your name? And she's like, Helen. And then they're shaking hands while she's live on TV. They're shaking hands like, woo, yes, hello. And she's interviewing them as their characters.
Oh, wow.
And it's
That's
like,
dope.
it's the most unusual thing ever. But we'll now move on to talk about the one thing that you wanted to mention that we were on about beforehand. The theme tune. Go Wild.
Theme tune's good. The theme tune is good because it's this also feels like, the obvious comparison here is X-Files.
Yes.
And it sounds like they've got a part of the X-Files season, they just remixed it a bit. And I also love how they don't have the actors' names, they have the characters' names, which also is kind of cheating because the actors' names are the same as the character names. Like in real, the actors are actually called Mike Minogue and Karen O'Leary.
Wow.
So it's kind of cheating, but but having that, like, to say Officer Minogue and Officer O'Leary, it just sort of engrosses you in this world more. Wow. Like, this is a real show about real people, and this is the real stuff that they're going through.
Taking it too seriously.
Getting invested.
Yeah. It's like, what are they going to do next? And then, what's really funny is that I can't wait. I've never seen this, but I can't wait to find out a story where someone's just not known it's a comedy program and thought someone was that gullible. It'd be so funny if someone was that gullible and thought, oh, this is right. Oh, have you seen this documentary? Oh, it's fantastic. It's about paranormal activity in Wellington. I mean, I've never seen that before. I'm now going to have to be apprehensive. I don't like Halloween anymore. Ooh. And it'd be really funny if someone that gullible.
There were a couple of moments for me where I was like, just an extra thing here would have made this absolutely perfect.
Right.
Which is where they're interrogating the demon girl.
Yeah.
In the office, and the scene's good, the scene's funny, but the camera, so it's all found footage, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like it's all shaky cam, and there is a cameraman there because they talked to the cameraman.
Yeah.
The one thing that would have made that absolutely perfect is if they'd shown in the camera.
Yeah.
There was a cameraman there.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Then
yeah.
if you look in the so you see the camera. And it's watching them, and it's showing the interrogation.
Yeah.
And there's no cameraman behind them. But then it cuts to and from a camera angle from right next to them. So there should be a cameraman there.
I agree.
And it just kind of, I'm nitpicking so hard. And like when they're running around the police station chasing after, and it goes to all those cameras.
Yeah.
There's no cameraman chasing after them.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would have just made it perfect. Absolutely perfect. Is if there is you just get an extra, put a fake camera on him, and just have him chase him.
Yeah.
And that would have just made it absolutely perfect.
I do see what you mean, and I 100% agree now thinking about it, because it is one of the things that sort of let that scene down. But what I quite like, speaking of this, is that there's another program called 24, and there's a scene, I can't remember which episode, but there's a scene where one of the main president walks through the door, and he stands at the door and holds the door whilst the cameraman walks through. Then once the cameraman's through, you watch the next scene of him shutting the door. So they're doing the scene whilst he's holding the door to let the cameraman in. So it's this like massive serious scene, like, or the whole world's gonna go if you haven't got these in this many hours, we've got this many hours left. And then they just let the cameraman walk in the door. They're not waiting, they're just like, right, come on in now. And it's that type of thing. Because I would have wanted Padawan to take over the soul of the cameraman. That would have been funny where like
maybe that could have been good.
And you just see the trying to the cameraman then chase after them, and then they have to chase after him.
Like you could even have that as like a recurring gag where like they keep getting all these different camera people and they just keep dying
Yeah.
on the set of this this documentary they're making. Like that. I'm surprised they haven't done that in What We Do in the Shadows yet, where they haven't just straight up just killed the cameraman. Like they did it in the movie towards the end, but like just have that like halfway through, just like, oh yeah, sorry, we've got a new cameraman. Last one got torn apart. So
the last one got taken down to hell by accident while we were exercising Bazawan. But the one thing I didn't think that worked was the whole stolen trousers thing. When they're like, oh, they're not the regulation trousers.
Oh yeah. No, that didn't. Yeah, that didn't scan for me either.
No, I didn't understand because all the pants look the same. That just looked a brighter shade of blue. So if the pants were like Disco Fever, like BG type trousers, then that would have made it a lot more funnier.
I think it's just that I think that joke is there to just show like this sergeant. He's just like, he's very serious, and he's not here for a joke. Whereas like you could sort of see that from the main characters, Minogue and O'Leary. You can sort of see that from them that they've got the banter between them. Whereas this sergeant, he's just like completely blank face.
Yeah, and I noticed there when you were talking, you were about to call him Mike instead of O'Leary. I mean,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've got the IMDb open right here, so I'm just scrolling up and down, and then every time I forget the names, it's just there. So
yeah, and what I think that works really well is the fact that it's universally you understand what the police people are. So it's a universal concept. So when it aired over here, you weren't gonna feel like it lost over your head.
And I think if what I said earlier about it feeling like police interceptors, they've probably got shows like that all over the world. So that would scan all over the world. Like, oh yeah, this is like police interceptors, but funny and about ghosts. Like, that works. That really works. So yeah, I think the concept as a whole is really solid. Because you're gonna have a lot of people in already sort of understanding what's going on.
Yeah. Now, if the viewers at home want to watch Wellington Paranormal, I did just Google it. So because of me having the mic, you heard me typing there. I was Googling it. And so you can watch it on Now TV, Sky, and Apple. And if you spend like, it's like £1.98 for an episode each on Apple and iTunes. And I've got the Wikipedia here, even though I don't trust Wikipedia. I've got the Wikipedia here.
Never use it for your essays.
No, I never use it for your essays. Well, I've got it here, and what's odd is that they've got links to directed by Jermaine Clements. They've got a link to him, a link to Jackie Van Beek, or BEEK. But they haven't got a link to Tim Van Damman, who was another director for it.
Oh,
they've missed a link off, but it's really interesting because for Bazawan, I feel like they've just, I don't know. I'm trying to look at it now, and it doesn't actually tell me who played Bazawan.
So the voice of the dog was a guy called Basil Keeman.
Basil. Wow. But if you want to watch it in America, you can watch it on the CW in America or HBO Max, I think.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max in America. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot, if you're a fan of Taskmaster New Zealand, you will see a lot of cameos from the New Zealand lot. And Sam Smith, who I've interviewed, was a writer for one of the episodes in it. So let's have a look. So episode 1, it says here that Bazawan is spelled BAZU and a little like dash hyphen thing and an A and an A and an L.
Basil.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was on.
No.
Oh.
Apparently not.
Basil.
And it's Bazawan of the Unholy Realm. Now, I would want to see that as a sitcom, as a spin-off.
What, just the Unholy Realm?
yeah. And it's like Bazawan and his wife saying, "Oh, are you going to go and interrupt them again?"
That could be a really good, maybe not sitcom, but like maybe like a recurring sketch on a sketch show about like a demon support group, and like some of them have the same host, but then they just look more disheveled as the show goes on, and others could like come back every week with a fresh body. I got bored of the last one. He just I got him to jump off a cliff and went into his sister instead, so here I am.
Instead of it being AAA, Alcohol's Anonymous, it'll be you. Unholy realm, unholy realm, unholy realm. It's a satanic ritual. And so the right
there you go. Unholy Realm United. Actually, wow. That's what you could call it.
That's fantastic.
Oh, let's write it. We're doing it.
And so the episode originally aired in New Zealand on the 11th of July 2018, aired in the UK on Sunday last year at 2 a.m. I don't know why. What Sky do is the program at 2 a.m. and then they air it in the original slot at 9 p.m. So I watched Nevermind the Buzzcocks revival on Sky. They bleep out certain swear words at 2 a.m. But when you're watching at 9 p.m, all the swear words are there.
That's weird.
It was written by Jermaine Clements and Paul Yetis.
I think it's Yates.
Oh, Yates. I do apologize.
You're awful with names. You're awful with names. This is becoming a recurring thing now.
This is why. I don't. Well, I do write stuff actually. So this is why when you watch my Paul Williams interview recently, I fixed it. I spelt Williams wrong in the thumbnail, the title, and when you watch the actual video, his last name spelled wrong in the actual video as well. I can't correct the thing in the actual video, but I corrected the thumbnail and the title. And
bless you.
Yeah, it was directed by Jermaine Clements, and the title is Demon Girl. Now, before I found out how you pronounce Taika Waititi, I used to call him Taika Waititi.
Waititi.
Yeah, or for M. Night Shyamalan, I call him M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh yeah, you've got to do that. You've got to. That's just the rule. Every time you mention M. Night, you've got to say M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, and so do you reckon that the characters, their full names Minogue and O'Leary, or do you reckon that's just their last name in the show?
Yeah, no, like in real life, their names are Mike Minogue and Karen O'Leary. I'm not sure whether their first names in the show are Mike and Karen, but maybe they just don't need it. It's just Officer.
No.
They don't really seem on first name basis with each other.
Yeah,
they seem very professional.
Yeah, so. And it says here the funniest thing ever. It says exorcism to stop the demon from opening the hell mouth in the bucket fountain. Now the bit with the bucket fountain.
The bucket fountain is quite funny. They call it like a portal to hell, and it's just literally just like a fountain made up of like loads of multicolored buckets. It looks like a kid's play area.
Now, what I'm trying to Google this, Frank, really quickly to find a quotes, because I want to mention some of the best quotes. But if you can remember any quotes from the episode, what would you say your favourites?
Well, at one point, Minogue says we're kind of like Mulder and Scully. She's like Scully because she's analytical, she's got brains, and I'm a man with brown hair. No, that's funny. No.
Yeah, well, I found no, I haven't found, I thought I found the quotes. Oh no, I have found quotes. This is from I don't know. It doesn't actually tell me which episode it's from now because I'm trying to. I googled series 1, episode 1, Wellington Paranormal quotes, and I've just found one's like a brain of clay and heart of gold. He means well, but he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. It's a random quote from a random episode, but that's what I don't know if have you ever seen Taskmaster?
No, I've not.
Well,
What? No, sorry, that's a lie. I've seen bits.
Well, Rose Matafeo, who's a New Zealand comedian, says shid instead of shed.
Oh,
SHED, shid. I'll go into the shid, and I can do it sort of New Zealand accent with the word shid. But that's what when people say it laughs. So I don't know if if there's any quotes anywhere, but if anyone can find quotes for the series, it'd be helpful so I can quote parts of the episode because I can find Reddit links and other bits, but I can never actually find quotes exactly. I don't know if it's just the fact that they've not. Oh, I found a transcript for series 1, episode 5. Oh, I found the transcript for Demon Girl. So we'll actually go and have a look over here. There's a young girl over here. She might be left behind by her friends.
Are you about to read out the whole script? Is that what you're about to do here?
No, I'm just going to read the first bit. Plus, she might need some assistance. Should go and see if she's okay. Hello, love. Hi there. She's quite quiet. Oh, are you all right? I guess so. No. I mean, yeah, it's quite unusual. I mean, that's a lot to come out of quite a small person. I found the transcript. Hey! It's a podcast first. We've got actual quotes. I found the whole first series on a website called Transcript DB.
There we go.
Wow. Well done, right. Because we're so far into the podcast recording, we're so far in, let's go towards the end of the episode and pick out some of our favourite quotes. Captured by SBS Australia 2018 is what it said. Right, so let's just find a good spot. So, oh yes, I found the actual call the fire sign. Hang on, here we go. The bit. So here is some of the best quotes from the scene where they're doing the exorcism, and you can tell me if you agree with these quotes. It says, "You are a sacrifice to the Dark Lord. Why me? Well, maybe, I mean, there's always a sacrifice." Inappropriate word, mate. We're family friendly, as I said before. And it's, I actually never seen any of his girlfriends. He might actually be a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. O'Leary, make sure to say it 3 times. Okay, say it 2 more times. By the power of Christ compels you. That's 2. Well, more empathy. By the power of Christ compels you. What do you think of that quote?
It certainly is a line from the show that you've just read from the script. This is falling apart. This is falling apart quite quickly. Yeah. I think this is a solid first entry to the show. I'm looking forward to the next one. And now, like we said earlier, best moment, she gets stuck on a fence. That's quite funny.
Yeah. And then I think one of the best quotes from the whole episode is, "You're in luck, mate. In 6 minutes, I'm off the clock, and I have a legendary joke for you all. Well, I haven't actually told you yet." And that's when
he starts cackling, doesn't he? Yeah.
It's when the other one starts going, oh. And so, with that, on that note, reading the whole script there, on that note, we shall end. And as I always say, I'll see you for episode 2. Now, we are going to start writing little bits of notes and writing some of our own quotes from episode 200. And I am going to brainstorm some what I like to call. I'm going to close down this tab now because it looks like I've got like a shadow coming from my own side of my face. We are gonna. I am gonna invest in a format for this, so that I don't end up reading the whole script. I could try to do then, because
it's early days. We'll let you off.
yeah.
You can read the script this week. It's fine.
I'll put my hands up and wave them in the air like I just don't care. But I'll say this: I've never had a co-host on a podcast before, so I never know how to properly go around having equal speaking time for the host and the co-host. Now,
it's the first time for everything, bud.
Yes. Now, if you want to see more of Mr. Xander, and if you want to hear more of his thoughts on other things other than Wellington Paranormal, which excitingly will be back very soon. We won't be back next week. We'll be back the week after, because next week something exciting's happening. But we will be back, so you can currently listen to him on the Fill Me In podcast, or you can listen to him on this podcast. We are on Facebook for this podcast now, What We Hear in the Shadows. And if you want to hear more from me and Xander, stay tuned. Stay tuned. I can't tell you any more details than that because I don't want to spoil it, but stay tuned.
Then we'd have to kill you.
Yes. So if you want to talk to us about the show, or if you want to have anything to do with us and you want to be involved, say your favorite part of an episode or your opinion, well, if you wait for this surprise, I might be able to fix something for when this surprise comes along. And when I say fix it, I mean do something so that more people will know about this surprise. But as I always say, remember, there's paranormal everywhere. And I just remembered before we end this, I forgot to do the paranormal rating for this episode. So originally we were doing vampiric scale or bat scale. I can't remember what scale it was previously in the first episode, but now we're doing paranormal scale. On a scale from paranormal level, what would you give it? The episode.
Oh, wait, is this just a rating system out of 10 for the episode, or is this just like are we just saying how paranormal the episode is?
Oh, we're on about the episode. Well, we'll do that in a minute. We're on about the episode. Well, last episode of the podcast, you went up to you made up a number, so I'm not actually said to 10, but it's.
Oh, right, okay, fantastic. Okay.
On the paranormal scale, where do we think this episode was?
You know what? I think this is a fairly tame paranormal episode, so I'm gonna give this a very solid 56.
Wow.
On the paranormal scale.
I'll give it a 58.
Wow, that's really high.
Yeah.
That's really high.
It is very high on this.
Because as we all know, between 56 and 58, there's about 12 numbers. Wow, that's
yeah. And on a paranormal level of paranormal activity, actual paranormal activity in the episode, what would you give it out of 10? We're gonna put that to 10 because there's on
just
a level.
For fun.
Yeah, just for fun.
I'll give this one a 7.
I'll probably agree with that on a 7. Now, before we end it off, I don't know if there's an answer to this, but how accurate in a paranormal sense do you reckon this episode was?
Not at all.
Because I don't know how you can be accurate.
Exorcisms are so long and drawn out, and you need a priest. So very, very incorrect.
Yeah.
I've seen The Exorcist. I know my stuff.
So there you go. If you want to, I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but if you want to tell us we're doing this all wrong, or tell us we're doing this all fantastic, comment it on the Facebook page. Won't be a link in the description because I don't know how to link it in the description because I never know how to, because we're owners of the page and I can't work out to find the share button to press share to get a link. So it might not be in the description, it might be. Who knows and who really cares? Not being horrible there. So, format will be improved for episode 3 as always. Early doors, early days.
Yeah, improving along the way.
Hopefully, we eventually get cast members from the film, the program, and the spin-off on the podcast. hopefully. So then I can do my first ever dual interview where there's two people interviewing the guest, hopefully. And if you're a fan of the show and you want to talk to us about it, please feel free to come on. You can do that by getting in contact in the comments or getting in contact on the Facebook page. But as I always say, remember, always look, always listen, and always hear what is in the shadows. And remember, stay safe in Wellington for any paranormal signs. And remember, Father!
Father!
It's the only Matt Berry reference I could properly pull off because I can't say bat.
Hell's teeth!
Remember,
Again!
we are your vampires. I'm not very good at VFX.